Hey everyone, Dave Brown here with the New Populist. It's been a couple weeks since the Kyle Rittenhouse jury verdict. It's a verdict that I'm sure you agree with. It's a verdict that I agree with. But I wanted to go back and recap the situation and give a cautionary bit of advice for ourselves and Kyle, although of course he won't hear this, because I think it's important to understand some of the bigger issues involved in this. And sometimes we get caught up in this cultural war where we're so happy that the system worked the way it's supposed to work and it came to the right verdict, and we were all concerned that there will be mob justice and the jury would be intimidated. And luckily that wasn't the case. But I get a lot of flack from conservatives for saying this, that I know a lot of people think that he was defending his community, and he was. And everyone has a right to defend themselves and their community. I'm a huge believer in the Second Amendment, but I said that I don't think he should have been there. And people get very angry when you say that. And it's not because I think he was trying to do something bad. My advice to people, anyone, is to be careful about the situations you put yourself in that you can't control. Now, back in the 90s, there were the riots in Los Angeles, in California, and there's that iconic picture of the Korean shop owners on the top of their building, and there's 4 or 5 of them there with their guns, and I love that picture. That represents how a group of men, not children, a group of men collectively in a safe way can defend their property against the mob. And my problem with Rittenhouse was that he was sort of wandering by himself. Clearly, he was isolated from a group of people that he was working with or protecting property with. And he was in a situation that he could not control. He was isolated from the group, and the jackals fell upon him, and we all know what happened afterwards. So I don't have a problem with him per se being there. It was the manner in which he was there. I want to see American men and women collectively, intelligently defending their property if the police and the government choose not to do their job and defend us from the mob. And so I encourage every American, be armed, be smart, and if you have to, organize with your fellow neighbors, your friends, and to protect your property if a situation that happened in Kenosha comes to your neighborhood. And it might. So don't discount that. It may be coming soon to your neighborhood. So know who your friends are, your neighbors are, who are of a like mind, and be organized to defend your property. In Kyle's case, that's not quite what happened, and those are the situations I want to avoid. Not because I feel bad per se for Rosenbaum for what happened to him. Huber to a less extent. To be fair to Huber, I do feel that he didn't quite understand what was going on. Obviously, there was complete chaos. People were screaming that he was an active shooter. And so if I try to look at it from his perspective, perhaps he thought he was trying to stop an active shooter. But if you're going to attack somebody with a skateboard who is armed, who has already shot somebody, that may not be a good idea, and that got him killed. So I do somewhat go, I feel bad for Huber a little bit. I don't think he knew what was going on 100%, but I have no compassion or remorse for Rosenbaum. He got what he deserved. But going forward, I have these 2 concerns. And relating to us, when we saw the George Zimmerman verdict, there were a lot of people that were happy, that thought it was the right verdict, and they were sort of praising Zimmerman as being this hero in the neighborhood who was trying to protect his neighborhood from thieves and criminals. And the problem with that is that while he was technically, by the jury, not guilty, and I think that was the proper decision, he wasn't necessarily a good guy. And later on, we saw he had a domestic situation and a few other incidences where it became clear that he was kind of a jackass. And a lot of people who were, originally defending him and singing his praises started to very quietly fall back and go, ooh, I was behind this guy, and ooh, he's kind of a schmuck. Now, I'm not saying that Kyle is like that. I am, however, somewhat concerned by the tone of some of his interviews, and he's doing a lot of interviews. Now, he's 18 years old. I can't even begin to imagine how I would behave if I were 18 years old. So I do understand that. There's that youth is a part of this equation here. It's easy to be carried away at that age when you're so full of adrenaline and hormones and everything. You don't always make the best decisions. And God knows if the things that I did when I was 18 were to be recorded and shown to the world, I'd be pretty embarrassed. So I do understand the aspect. He is young. But when you kill people, and you kill 2 people in self-defense, even if it was self-defense, even if you were justified, it should carry some weight upon your shoulders. It should, I don't want to say not ruin your life, but it should be something that when you're talking about it or anything around it, it's somber. It's not a good thing that you have to live the rest of your life knowing that you put 2 people in the grave. And when I watch some of these interviews, the tone is a little bit light, a lot of jokes, a lot of rah-rah and celebration. And it concerns me a little bit that it's not a little bit more somber, a little bit more circumspect. And going forward, he will be in situations, I guarantee it, 2 or 3 years from now, he's in a bar somewhere, someone doesn't like him, and all of a sudden you got a situation. And he's making himself a target in the future by doing a victory lap. It's like when you hit a home run. What do? You run around the bases, you touch home plate, you high-five your teammates, and you sit down in the dugout. And right now, he's hitting that home run. He's tossing the bat. He's dancing on the base paths. He's, flipping off the opposing team's crowd. He's kind of really, getting every ounce of this out of this. And I'm not sure that is the smartest play. And now for us, we supported the verdict, and a lot of people out there have all these memes where they're sort of deifying Rittenhouse. Be careful. I'm not saying this will happen. Let me be very clear. I'm not saying he's a bad kid. I'm not saying any of that. But be careful when you start to, over glorify somebody in a certain situation, especially in a situation like this. This may come back in the years to come to sort of bite us in the ass. And again, I'm not saying it will. Hopefully he does his interviews, he files his lawsuits, gets us money, and lives a happy life. That's my hope. But that's not a guarantee. And for anybody sort of deifying him, be careful. And again, this is a thing that happens when we're so beaten down by the media, by the left. Everybody's so angry. Everything is so politically charged. So when you get that victory, you can't help yourself. You just want to rub it in a little bit and make them feel it. And I think collectively, our reaction to the verdict was just that. We're all like, hell yeah, finally, one for the good guys. And you have a tendency to get a little carried away. So let's not get too carried away. Let's be thoughtful, and let's be smart so that in the future, we don't put ourselves out of position. Well, that's it for now. If you're new to this channel, please like and subscribe. And I'm also the co-author of the book, Black and White, How the Left is Destroying the Dream of Martin Luther King and Our Founding Fathers. If you want a right-leaning perspective on race relations, pick up a copy. It is available on Amazon, and there will be a link in the description. Take care. Have a good one.